Buying a home in 2024? In this video, I'm going to go over 4 key steps to put you ahead of everybody else. My name's Tony Butita. I'm a local realtor here in Palos Verdes in the South Bay. This channel is all about living in and buying and selling real estate here in Palos Verdes in the greater South Bay. If this is your first time to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be made aware of upcoming videos when they come out, hit the notification bell below. So you're thinking about buying a home in 2024. Maybe you're a first-time home buyer, or maybe it's just been a while since you've purchased a property. In this video, I'm going to cover 4 key steps that I think will put you ahead of the game. One caveat, while I believe these steps will be applicable in most markets, I cover Palos Verdes in the South Bay, which includes Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, Redondo Beach, Torrance, and the surrounding cities. So when I refer to market conditions, I'm talking about our local market here. However, that does not mean that these steps won't apply for you and your market. So before jumping into the steps, you need to understand that when you make an offer on a home, you're actually going to supply more than the offer itself. If you're taking out a loan, you'll need to submit 3 things to the seller. 1 is your offer, 2 is your approval letter from the lender you're working with, and 3 is going to be your proof of funds. In another video, I'll dive more deeply into the offer writing process, but for now, the offer you're submitting will include the price you're offering, the terms, and how you're going to pay for it. Let's use an example of buying a $1 million home with a conventional loan where you're borrowing 80% of the purchase price. Along with your offer, you'll need to submit an approval letter from the lender you're working with that shows that you have the ability to borrow at least $800,000. You'll also need to provide proof of funds, which shows that you have the cash on hand to pay the $200,000 cash portion or down payment of the purchase. Without these 3 things, your offer won't even be looked at, let alone considered. So let's jump into the steps. These are in no particular order, as I think all 4 are very important. Step 1, get approved with your lender. As I mentioned before, when you submit an offer on a property, you're going to need to supply the approval letter from your lender proving that you have the ability to borrow the money you say you're going to borrow. But above and beyond that, there are 2 things I think are super important. 1, by getting approved, it really helps you solidify your price point. Too often buyers will go out and just start looking at properties only to find out later they can't really afford what they were looking at. On the flip side, it's also common to discover you could actually afford more than you thought. By getting your price point dialed in, this will be incredibly helpful with other aspects of your search, including where you can look, what types of homes you can be looking at, and even beds, baths, etc. It'll also put you in a great position to implement a strategy to get your offer accepted. The second reason to get everything in order is that it will put you in a position to take action when it is in your best interest. Let's say you go out this weekend and you look at homes and you find the one. However, you're not quite ready to submit an offer yet, so you spend the next few days scrambling to get everything together, and by the time you're equipped to submit your offer, the house is gone. This might seem extreme, but in our market here, which is very competitive, this can easily happen. So make sure you get everything in order with your lender so you're ready to go. One bonus tip. When figuring out how much you're actually approved for, consider the difference between total purchase price and what that looks like as an actual monthly payment. Just because you're approved up to a certain amount doesn't mean that you'd be comfortable with what that looks like as a monthly payment. You might end up looking for homes that are a little bit under what you're approved for, so you don't put yourself in an uncomfortable position. Step 2. Understand your finances and additional costs. When buying a home, you'll typically need to come to the table with more money than you're actually purchasing the home for. The most common cost would be your closing costs. Closing costs could be fees for title and escrow, commissions paid to brokers, transfer taxes. Be sure to check in with a local professional so you can understand your market and what this might mean for you. Another thing to keep in mind is that unless you're buying a new construction home, the home you're buying is used. I don't care if it's a flip and it's been completely remodeled, there are going to be aspects of your home that are old, imperfect, and in need of repair or upgrades. In addition to that, be sure to consider the cost of moving and the timing of everything. It's very possible that there will be some overlap where you might be paying rent and a mortgage at the same time, or maybe even 2 mortgages. So in addition to understanding your purchasing power, be sure to budget for additional cost above and beyond the home. Step 3, representation. You need to decide whether or not you want to use a realtor, and if so, who. Remember, there's no law stating that you have to use a realtor, but there's a pretty good reason why most buyers do. Working with a good realtor should give you certain advantages. If it doesn't, just do this by yourself. But if you're in a competitive market like we are here in the South Bay, it might be kind of tricky. A good realtor will have knowledge of the local market, will understand how to properly present your offer in a way that's most favorable to you, and will spend a lot of time looking for things and doing things that won't take up all of your time. Now, some buyers think it's a good strategy just to go through the listing agent. Well, in some markets, this isn't allowed, and going forward, I don't think it's going to be allowed anywhere. You need to remember that a listing agent's job isn't to get you a deal. It's to advocate for their client, the seller, and to get the best deal possible for them. When I represent a seller, my job is to look out for them and their best interest. Often, that includes getting the highest price possible for the home. When I represent a buyer, I'm trying to get them the property they want in a way that's most favorable to them. As a realtor, my job is not to sell you a house. My job is to act in your best interest as a fiduciary and help you purchase the home that you want. So when looking for a realtor, find somebody who knows what they're doing and you feel comfortable is looking out for you in your best interest. Now, I'm filming this at the end of 2023. Going forward, there's going to be most likely some changes in this industry. I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of all that's going on in this video, but when you decide to work with a realtor, make sure to have a conversation with them about how they are compensated. This is something that you should understand and they should be able to explain to you. Step 4, fast, slow. Okay, so what do I mean by this? There are times when this process might move very quickly. You might see a home that you like and think you have a few days or weeks to think about it, but in many cases, you won't. You might be in a position where you need to make a decision much quicker than you anticipated. This can be kind of unsettling for buyers who aren't prepared, so just understand and mentally prepare yourself to be ready to act very quickly if needed. There are also times when this process moves really slow. Maybe nothing's hitting the market that you like. Maybe you missed out on a home and nothing's really come along yet that you quite like as much as that one. Maybe you have an offer in and you're just waiting for a response from the seller, and while it's only been a couple of days, it feels like it's been forever. The home buying process can be a roller coaster of emotions. It's a practice of patience while simultaneously needing to be able to strike at a moment's notice. Buyers who don't understand this can really be thrown at the beginning of their search, especially in a competitive market. So by preparing for this ahead of time, you'll be one step ahead of those who don't. So those are the 4 key steps I would recommend to put yourself in a great position to successfully purchase your home. If this video was helpful and you want more content like this, subscribe to the channel. If you're thinking about moving to Palos Verdes or the South Bay, or you're thinking of buying or selling something in the area, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd be happy to help you in any way that I can. Thank you for watching. I hope wherever you are, you're doing great. See you next time.